Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and the Academy Awards has made some changes to a couple of their major categories. One of the changes for the better, and the other one might as well you just shoot the category right now and discontinue because I don't even know why you would bother giving it out. What am I talking about? Okay, well let's talk about the first change, which is the good change, to the Best Documentary Feature category. Now, I know a lot of you people out there don't watch documentaries. You find them, I don't know why you don't watch them. Strangely enough, everyone watched Making a Murder. You'd think you'd have a new respect for documentaries, but you don't. And so that's why, they will never make that much money, and that's why you will never see some truly great films. But ignoring that altogether, the new change that the Academy has made for the rules is that basically movies that are made for television and meant to be broken up into separate parts can no longer be eligible for the Academy Awards even if you show them in the theaters. Now, they obviously made this change in reaction to OJ Made in America winning the Best Documentary Feature, because even though it was shown in theaters and a 7.5-hour cut, which I want to add, I actually went to see, sat there the whole 7.5 hours, and oh boy, was that an interesting experience. But the thing is, the movie was not made for theaters. It was made for ESPN, and most people watched it broken up into 4 parts on Hulu. In fact, it was part of their 30 for 30 series, which is a TV show, not a movie show. And while no one's going to deny that that is not an excellent movie, it is not an actual movie, and that's why it qualified for both the Emmy and the Oscar. This can't happen. Not only do longer documentaries give a very unfair advantage to the movies that are actually made for theaters and confined to 2 hours or less, but it means that they can now do some pseudo-editing and get 2 awards for 2 distinctly different industries and types of medium, and that's wrong. So while I love OJ Made in America, gave it a very high grade in my review, and it was definitely of the 5 deserving to win, I do think it was questionable whether or not it should have been eligible for Best Documentary Feature, so this new rule makes a lot of sense. However, let's talk about the Best Animated Feature category changes, because these are the changes that might as well kill the category, and I don't see this category improving at all. Now, of course, I'm one of the few people who actually defended the use of this category, or at least the existence of it, in the sense that when it first started out, I liked the idea that, hey, we nominate animated movies for their own category. It was about time, and I figured there would be some advantages, like certain animation directors, their names would keep popping up, so maybe people like Brad Bird and Hayao Miyazaki would start becoming more recognizable to the average person. And in that regard, it did its job. However, there was a little bit of a problem, and that was with Pixar and Disney bias. Now, what I'm talking about is when the category first started, the first winner was Shrek. And you can disagree with that choice all you want. I think it was a worthy winner. And the second year, it was Spirited Away. So this category, in my opinion, was off to a great start. And then for a few years after that, Pixar was winning, but they were making movies like Finding Nemo and The Incredibles, which I believe only won because The Polar Express wasn't nominated. But there's been a little bit of a problem where, despite some very, very good movies being nominated, Disney and Pixar has been winning even on the very average years. The only time Pixar actually lost this category was, I believe, in 2003, when Cars was up for Best Animated Feature, was favored to win, but lost to Happy Feet. Now, of course, I would argue that Monster House probably deserved to be both of those, but I mean, it's really funny to show that the competition was so weak that even though we all acknowledge that Cars was by far Pixar's worst movie until Cars 2, that an equally mediocre film won Best Animated Feature. However, in recent years, it's getting kind of strange, some of the choices they make. Most people will agree that Brave was not a Academy Award winning movie, especially not next to Frankenweenie or Wreck-It Ralph. Likewise, there is no way in hell Big Hero 6 should have beaten The Tale of the Princess Kaguya or How to Train Your Dragon 2. For a while, I thought Toy Story 3 beating How to Train Your Dragon and The Illusionist was just a makeup award, but then some new information came to light which showed that actually it wasn't a makeup award, it was just plain ignorance. See, the way the Academy Awards works with all their categories is that there is a certain select number of people in each category voting for that category. So sound technicians vote for the sound awards, visual effects artists vote for best visual effects, and, actors vote for acting awards. It should be noted, everyone can vote for Best Picture. Now, once all these nominations are announced, that means they go up and everyone can vote for everything. They can pick the best for each category, no questions asked. But thanks to shrewd reporting to sites like The Hollywood Reporter and Cartoon Brew, we have found out why the Best Animated Feature winners usually go to the worst, or maybe not the worst, but the most kid-friendly movies. As you can see with articles like these, most of the time the Academy members won't even vote for the animation categories because they think animation is beneath them. And as you can see with stories like this, Sometimes they don't even vote at all. They hand the ballot over to their kids and have their kids pick a winner. In some rare cases, an Academy member has admitted that they saw all the movies, liked the adult animated movies more, but they had kids who liked this movie the most, and so they felt like voting for it for their kids. Which is not how you're supposed to be voting for these movies, but we'll get onto that on another video someday. So when you ask, how do movies like Persepolis, The Illusionist, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Wind Rises, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and Song of the Sea lose to movies like Brave and Big Hero 6? That might be your answer. It's because the Academy largely doesn't understand animation, so they bring their kids into the process, and when you have the kids voting on it, the Disney and Pixar film is going to pretty much win every single time. That brings up the question, if that's why people are voting for the winners this way, how do movies like My Life as a Zucchini get nominated in the first place? Well, here is how. They get nominated because, like all the other categories, the Best Animated Feature category is specialized, so animators vote for the nominated films. And animators aren't always super loyal to Disney and Pixar. They will nominate Disney and Pixar films, but they know to look outside the box and to look at other movies from other countries, and they admire other directors and other studios, and they will vote for them. Although somehow they did not nominate Your Name for Best Animated Feature this year, and that is a head scratcher. So when the movies are being nominated, they're being nominated on by animators who care about the craft. When they're being voted on, they are being voted on by people who are passionate about the craft, but then they are also dwarfed by 5,000 or so other members who really don't care or get the craft. And that's not to say movies like Zootopia are terrible. Zootopia was on my top 10 best films of the year list last year. It's just, there's probably better movies, and I had not seen My Life as a Zucchini when I made that list, and that would have easily taken a spot on the list and bumped Zootopia off of it had I seen it. So now you're probably asking, okay, Kevin, thanks for explaining all of this. What's the change that's going to ruin this category? Well, you know how I've been emphasizing that the artists nominate really good films and then the general Academy picks the worst winners? Well, according to the Academy, they're actually going to open that up so that anyone in the Academy can vote for Best Animated Feature. This is a really scary proposition because, again, if the Academy members are handing off the voting to the kids to pick the winners, who's to say they won't do the same thing when it comes time to pick the nominees? When you have animators voting for the nominees, then something from GKIDS can get nominated because the animators seek this stuff out and they know it exists. The general voting membership of the Academy doesn't seek this stuff out, and that becomes a problem. Now, before we get into the worst case scenario, let's look into how this could potentially not really affect anything if we're being honest. Because there is a chance that because animation is thought of so lowly by the voting membership that most people don't even bother to watch the movies and vote on them, there is a very good chance that they won't even nominate anything because they don't care. And in that case, the animators are just going to be picking the nominees anyway, so maybe nothing will change. But what could potentially happen, this is what scares me, and what should scare everybody in the animation industry, is what happens if they do and they're not knowledgeable? What happens if when they get to that category, they ask their kids what to vote for? Or worse, what if they just remember, like, let's see here, I saw Moana, I saw Zootopia, I saw Smurfs, and they just think about what they brought their kids to see. The Boss Baby is not a great movie, and I highly doubt Cars 3 will be a good movie when it comes out either. But now that everyone in the Academy is voting for the movies, those are two movies I know Academy members are going to see because they're taking their kids or grandkids to see it. So when it comes time to fill out the ballot, they might be like, well, I saw those movies, they were cute, my kids or grandkids like them, so I'm going to vote for them. Do we really want The Boss Baby to be nominated for Best Animated Feature? I mean, no offense to Tom McGrath. I mean, actually, I think he did a much better job than I expected, but it's still not exactly good, and it's far from Oscar worthy. The funny thing is, like, for the last couple of years, I've actually been advocating that maybe the animation category should be more selective in who actually gets to vote for the results, and the Academy went in the exact opposite direction and opened up the nominee process, potentially making this problem much worse. It's already bad enough that Disney and Pixar more or less gamed the system to control this award to the point where they, I think, have won it 9 out of the last 10 times. It was one thing when Pixar was making a Finding Nemo and then an Incredibles and then a WALL-E, but Pixar has been making Good Dinosaur, Brave, which Good Dinosaur didn't win, by the way, and Inside Out, which was admittingly amazing. And I don't think it should have been in the Best Animated Feature category because I feel it should have been in the Best Picture category. But by doing this, the Academy has put the future of the animated films that are not made by Disney and Pixar into some serious jeopardy. And while I still expect Studio Ghibli to get in there because Studio Ghibli is popular enough that the average Academy member knows who Miyazaki and Takahata are, I'm really fearful for movies from GKIDS who consistently release very interesting movies that will not get seen. And you know what? Thanks to the animators doing the voting originally, we got to hear about them and they got nominated. And I think they knew when they nominated them, they wouldn't win, even if they wanted some of them to win, because they know how the system works. You nominate it, it's selective, so you get some very interesting ideas, but the mainstream movie will always get picked. Basically, had this rule been in effect last year, Finding Dory would have been one of the nominees, and something as special as My Life as Zucchini, which deserves to be nominated, deserves to be seen, deserved to win actually, now that I've seen it, would not get nominated, and it would fall through the cracks and maybe into obscurity, and that's a shame. Right now, this year, we're looking at Boss Baby, Despicable Me 3, Cars 3, and whatever Disney's releasing. I guess that's Wreck-It Ralph 2, maybe. And really, is it even worth giving out an award at this point if those are the nominees? If those are the movies they're going to nominate and that's what it's going to look like from now on, do we even want this award? I don't know. Of course, we're going to have to see how they actually vote. We don't know how they're going to vote yet, so we, of course, should calm down and we should not get too upset. But I can't help but get worried. I cannot help but get worried. I think this is a very bad thing the Academy did. And really, I fear for the future of this award because I think it is important. I think it should be given out. I think it could potentially do some more good for animation than harm if it's voted on and controlled properly, but this is going in the opposite direction. And that is my biggest concern. But good for the documentary branch, though. I mean, yeah, like, forget those cheaters. Like, have them make like an actual movie for theaters. So what do you folks think? Do you think this is a valid concern? Do you think I'm blowing this way out of proportion? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.